Hi, my name is Lindsay, and I'm one of the lead podcast hosts here at Inderkum High School, and welcome to TigerCast, the college and career readiness podcast where you learn useful tips to help you plan for your future. Today we are joined by our special guest, Sergeant Clark, who is a recruiter with the Army. Before we start our interview, remember to take control of your future, join the California Army National Guard, and serve your community during local and state emergencies. You'll learn marketable skills, earn a paycheck, and get money for school. Contact Sergeant Aquino today at 916-233-7615. Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing well.
So, how long have you been with the Army, and what is your job?
I have been with the U.S. Army for 13 years, and my job is a U.S. Army career counselor, and I'm on a special assignment right now as a U.S. Army recruiter.
Great. And so why did you choose the Army? What personally stood out with them to you?
Well, 13 years ago, when I initially thought about joining the military, of course, I went and explored every branch, and when I sat down with the Army recruiter, I realized that the Army had more opportunities. Looking back on it now, the reason that is because the Army is the biggest branch, and I was able to pick the career field I wanted to be in. So that was one of the biggest reasons I joined the Army.
And then what kinds of jobs are available to you?
Well, the Army has over 150 different careers. Some of the career fields are medical jobs, such as combat medic. We have operation room tech. We have nutrition specialist. We have some mechanical jobs, heavy wheel vehicle mechanic equally to a diesel mechanic, aviation mechanics. We have chaplain's assistants. We have financial jobs. We have combat jobs, of course, infantry, Cav Scout, artillery, which I joined. Communication jobs, like I said, over 150 different careers. It ultimately comes down to what the person's looking for.
And then what's the minimum requirement as far as enlistment?
So the minimum requirement is 2 years. The maximum is 6 years. It does depend on which side of the house you enlist on, because you have the active Army and then you have the Army Reserves, but 2 to 6 years.
And then what would the difference be between active and reserves?
So active duty is full-time Army. That means that is your full-time career. You will leave home, go to basic training, your job training, and then you would move to a duty station, wherever the Army needed you at the time, but you'd be getting paid full pay, full benefits. Whereas the Army Reserves, it's more for somebody who's trying to go to college full-time but be a part-time soldier. With that, you would be stationed locally here by your surrounding area here in Sacramento, down in Concord, depending where your unit needed you at for your job. But you only work 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer for your annual training. But it's more or less allow you to be a civilian, but also be a soldier at the same time.
That's great. And then what does one have to score on the ASVAB in order to qualify?
So the minimum score on the ASVAB is a 31. We grade on 2 scales. Anybody that scores between a 31 and a 49 are considered what we call Bravos. Anybody that scores a 50 to 99 are what we consider Alpha. And what that means is, it just kind of directs you on what career path you want to take. So the ASVAB score breaks down into certain line scores, and on those line scores are such, electrical, science, and what that does, it kind of identifies what career field you should be in. Great.
And then in addition to the ASVAB, are there any physical fitness requirements that you have to meet in order to enter, and what would help to succeed in basic training?
So physical requirements, you don't have to be in the best of shape. That's what basic training is for. When you say basic combat training, the first word is basic. Basic means simple or easy. And but more importantly, you must be physically, mentally, and emotionally qualified when joining the Army. So when it comes to those, there's no exact qualifications that, I can identify, because there's so many different qualifications. That's something that you would have to sit down with the recruiter and discuss.
And then how long is basic training, and where would it be at, and what is it like?
So basic training is 10 weeks. It's really 9 weeks, but the first week is in processing. We have four major bases that we do basic training at. You have Fort Jackson, South Carolina, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and you had Fort Benning, Georgia. Those are the 4 major basic training locations. Those are just where you do basic training. Now, when you do your job training, that's in a totally different place. That just depends on what kind of career field you take.
And then after basic training and your job training, what advancement opportunities would be available? And are they specific to the job that you choose?
Well, every job does have certain schools that you can go to, such as being an engineer, you can go to sapper school. No other jobs in the Army can go to sapper school. So there are certain career opportunities in MOSs, which is military occupational specialty or jobs. But as far as advancement opportunities, I mean, we have airborne school, ranger school, pathfinder school. We have an array of different schools that you can go to that can actually help you advance in the Army, help with promotion, help you develop as a leader. So, I mean, the Army has multiple classes that you can take to help with advancement, yes.
Great. And then as far as pay goes, what would that be like in basic training and then your job training, and then if you did get those advancements?
So when you're in basic training and job training, you're getting paid the lowest rank unless you come in promoted, which there is ways you can get advanced prior to shipping off to basic training. But your basic pay is going to start out at $1,500 a month while you're in training. So in basic training, you're not really paying for anything because your food's paid for, your housing's paid for, everything's paid for. Your phone, you're really not going to pay for that till towards the end. So you're going to be saving $1,500 a month. And, the average basic training and job training is between 4 and 6 months. So you're talking saving up between $5 to $7 grand while you're in training alone. So that's the pay that you get for your training. Now, as you advance to higher ranks, of course, your pay becomes more. And when you get promoted, the Army has an accelerated promotion system. We get promoted the fastest out of any branch. So for instance, I'm a sergeant first class. I got promoted 7 times in 10 years. Prior to that, I got promoted to staff sergeant, which is E6, in 4 years. So I got promoted 6 times in 4 years. And that actually, those classes that you were talking about helped me advance to that rank. So of course my pay went up, and then when your pay goes up and your position goes up, you're going to be put in higher levels of responsibility. So that's definitely a plus.
And then as far as college goes, while you're in the military, are you able to take classes? And then how much money do you receive for college?
So you have 2 ways to pay for college. You have the Montgomery GI Bill, which is roughly around $66,000, $66K. And then you also, while you're in the Army, you can use what's called tuition assistance. Tuition assistance is another program we have where it gives you $4,000 per year. So, I mean, if you sign up for a 3-year contract, we're talking $16K for tuition assistance, and you can, double that up with your Montgomery GI Bill. So we're talking a total of $78,000 for education. For myself, I haven't even used the Montgomery GI Bill. I've been in it for 13 years. I actually recently just graduated with my bachelor's degree in business with a minor in human resource management. So I use tuition assistance to, pay for that. And my Montgomery GI Bill, I actually haven't touched that. I transferred that to my kids, so they actually can go to college, for a year each. And the good thing about the Army is, the college opportunities, those advancement classes that you were talking about, those opportunities. So those schoolings that you get in the Army, the colleges will actually look at it as college courses. So the first time I stepped into college, due to my Army training, I already had 69 credits towards my bachelor's degree completed, which is over half. So yes, as far as college, you can do it while you're in the Army. I'm definitely proof of that. And it definitely will pay for a 4-year degree. And you can continue to go on from there because, now that I'm finished with my bachelor's, I'm going to pursue my master's degree. So that's definitely in the near future.
That's really amazing, just great educational opportunities. As far as where you've been stationed, do you have any favorites or places that you've enjoyed?
So every place is unique. When I initially joined, the first time I got on an aircraft or an airplane was to basic training. So 18 years old, getting on the airplane to the unknown, which was Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was there for about 2 years. It was a great time of my life. I was young, but I always had a passion to go to Hawaii. And I never thought I would have that opportunity, but the Army gave me that chance. And I actually was stationed in Hawaii for about 7 years. To me, it was probably the best place I ever lived. It was beautiful. I got to experience so many different cultures because, it is a tourist location. But I was there for about 7 years. I also spent a little bit of time in Germany, but Sacramento is nice. I've only been here for about a year. Just, going up to Lake Tahoe down to Yosemite has some benefits. But Hawaii was the best place for me.
And then what are the possibilities for the overseas duty station?
So the overseas duty station, I mean, when you say possibilities, there's definitely a possibility. Ultimately, with the Army, you can take control of where you want to go. It just comes down to if they have that position available and timing. Yeah, I mean, the opportunities are there. If you want to go to Germany, you just have to submit a request to go to Germany. When you initially join, you're going to have to put like a wish list together. But after your first contract, if you stay in the Army, you actually can sign another contract, and you can get duty assignment of choice. And that's how I received Hawaii. So after my first contract, it was time for me to either get out the Army or sign a new contract. And the Army was really easy, so I signed a new contract, and they gave me Hawaii as a duty location of choice, and I also received $13,000 sign-on bonus.
Wow, that's really great. So I've decided I want to enlist. What would the steps be to take to commit?
So when you decide to commit to the U.S. Army, it's a big decision. So I like to describe it as a crawl, walk, run stage. So when you initially come in, we sit down, you like what the Army has to offer, you want to make that commitment. Then what we do is we schedule you to take the ASVAB, the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test. Once you take that test and you're qualified, then we pretty much build your packet. It's pretty much your application into the United States Army. And then after you build your packet, we pick your job prior to you to going down to the military entrance processing station. So you get to pick your job with your recruiter, and then once you're satisfied with the job, we actually set you up to take the physical and enlist. The physical and enlistment is done at MEPS, which is the military entrance processing station. So you go down there, you do your physical. It's like a sports physical. Once you're done with that, you go sit with a guidance counselor, confirm your contract, and then you swear in that day. And that's the process.
All right, and then are there any places that students would be able to get more information about the Army?
As far as the Army, we are located off of 1602 Howe Avenue. That's my Army Recruiting Center. It's called Arden Recruiting Center. Or you can give me a call, Sergeant Clark, 916-752-6263. And I would love to sit down and discuss the possible opportunities with you.
All right, and then lastly, what has been your favorite part about joining the military so far, and why do you think students here may be interested?
My favorite part about the Army, to me, was the opportunity to travel while getting my education at the same time and getting paid at the same time. When you can combine those three, they actually complement each other really well. So, going to Hawaii, living in such a beautiful place, being paid to live there while pursuing my education at the same time, I felt I wouldn't have that opportunity at doing, any other job. I love the Army because of the people I've met, the cultures I have experienced, and just developing me as a leader, as a person in whole. The Army has been a great opportunity, not only to myself, but for my family as well.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.